Hi, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Dami and Ify again this week, and we're just continuing the conversation, really, babe, isn't it? I think we've done connections, communication, and now we're doing fighting, conflict. We're doing conflict this week, right? And really, that's been a learning curve for us. We didn't know how to fight well, but I think now we fight well. We still fight because I don't know any couple who's gonna claim to be human and not zombies. That don't fight.
Even zombies fight.
You think so? Maybe. I've never met a zombie, so I don't know if zombies fight. But really, actually, conflict in marriage doesn't always have to be a bad thing, does it?
No.
Because what we've learned is, I think, was something we were watching, and this sentence kind of stuck to me, that conflict in marriage doesn't always have to be a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing, because conflict in marriage reveals the value of your spouse. What you're fighting about probably reveals what your spouse values. Therefore, if you're in that conflict, if you pay good attention to what you're fighting about or what's triggering the conflict, you can probably learn more about your spouse, and that cannot be a bad thing. Learning more about your spouse and discovering more of their values, and if they're evolving, what are the new things that are valued that you obviously miss, that's not causing conflict, that is not a bad thing. And now he's smiling, so maybe he discovers some new values. Isn't it, babe? What is it that you've discovered that's making you grin? Because you're just grinning. Why are you just grinning? He's a happy man tonight. You can tell I haven't had a fight with him in a while. We haven't had a conflict in a while, but we do have plenty of conflicts. Isn't it, babe? Yeah. This will be your turn.
No, I would say for
He's a happy dude tonight.
But conflict is something that's, it's been resolving conflict personally for me. It's been challenging, and I'm glad that through the platforms, all those Christian platforms that we go through, I'm learning a lot from that and hopefully growing through it. One of the things I've learned is to ensure that it's not, if you're having conflict with your spouse, is ensuring that, I have to win that conflict. It's not a I have to win, because it's a marriage, it's you and your own wife,
It's a we, right?
Yeah, it's a we, it's not an I, because there's no point in it, because if you're trying to say, okay, yes, I have to win, then you're not explaining the value or what's the point and what's triggering that issue.
You're just fighting for your own point and not giving the other person any opportunity to even understand if you're just fighting to win.
Yeah, and your spouse will definitely not understand why what triggered you, and at the same time it's going to be like, you're gonna get into more heated conversation.
Yeah, I'm talking about heated conversation. It's important, really. What I noticed is that something small, friends that we talk to and we help through these kind of marital issues, and we've been privileged to have a few friends that trust us. And when we talk to friends, what we find is it's small issues that just escalates and starts this big blow-up thing. And what I have learned, or what we've learned, is, I'll speak for myself. What I've learned is, when we get into conflict and I feel myself physically, when you're getting angry, your physiology changes, your heart rate goes up. When I feel my physiology change, when I feel my body change, and I know that I'm going from that space when I know who I am, and I know I'm a daughter of the king, to the place where I'm like, I'm a Yoruba girl. I want to remove the J and remove J from Jesu. Those who understand what I said, if you get it, you get it. When I feel myself going to that space where I want to remove the J from Jesu and have the issue left, then I just pull myself back, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pulling yourself back and knowing that, okay, I'm going to a place where this conflict, whatever the issue might be, is escalating. I usually will just ask for time out. I'll just be like, okay, can we just not do this anymore? Can we just leave this and revisit it? My husband has had to learn to give me that time, because you're a conversational person. You're much more, let's talk about it, let's deal with it. But I'm more withdraw and don't fight. Although there's a negative side to that, because I could then withdraw for weeks, which is what I used to do in those kind of first 2 years. But I'm saying all of that to say that when you feel yourself getting angry, you feel yourself kind of losing your cool, it's important to have the skills to de-escalate. Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
He's a happy man tonight. I do not understand. He's laughing a lot.
No, it is.
It's important
It is.
to know how to de-escalate.
Yeah.
I must be looking too fine tonight, because this dude is not focusing on this video at all.
I am focusing.
It's important to learn to de-escalate. We're talking about conflict and we're laughing a lot, so yeah. It's important to learn to de-escalate, right? He is struggling to stop laughing tonight. I'm not sure what's going on with him.
It is. No, yeah.
Now I've got the laughter, oh God. It's important to learn to de-escalate. Now I've totally lost my train of thoughts thanks to your laughter.
You know, it's just the way you're looking.
It's the way I'm looking. Oh God.
I couldn't keep a straight face.
Alright, we're back. Why don't we just go through kind of the rules of engagement during conflict that we've kind of tried to adopt in our marriage. I think
first I would say is, especially when you have children, is ensuring that you don't you try and de-escalate the issue as early as possible.
Quickly as you can. No fighting in front of the kids.
No, you just have to do that. You know, that's just a no-no. If you have to say, hey, you know, you want to speak to mommy in the room, or you know,
we do that a lot.
Yeah.
We just tell them, go play in your room. Mommy and daddy need to talk.
Yeah, and that's it.
And we just take time out and have a conversation in our room. But we try to not have those kind of big conflicts in front of the kids. Of course, there will be times when they can sense that mommy's not happy or daddy's not happy, and that's okay. We're not trying to show them that people don't fight. We still need to train them healthy ways of dealing with conflict, but it's just those kind of, you know, it's a tricky one, and you know that it has a potential for flare-ups and blow-ups, then you just take time out and no fighting, just no fighting in front of the kids.
No fighting. Another one I would say is name calling.
Yeah.
Don't start calling her bad mother, bad wife, rubbish friend. I don't know what else there is. Selfish.
Yeah. So yeah, those are name calling. So it's a no-no. You have to, as you said, it's easier said than done. You know,
It's not
because
easy, no.
Coming from the I would say this come from, I would say, family of origin. So
learning how to fight, right?
Yes,
Learning how
so
to
that
fight,
is
right.
it's quite challenging, but as we said in previous videos, that it's your marriage.
It's a skill to learn.
Yeah, so you have to learn it for your sake, for your spouse's sake,
children.
it's for the sake of your children, because whatever we brought into the marriage, it was based on from our parents.
It's what you're exposed
what you're exposed to.
It's your family of
So
origin.
so we need to be careful in ensuring that once there are issues, you need to resolve it in a way that the children can see you and say, okay, daddy and mommy, they might be fighting, but they can see that there's a mutual respect between daddy and mommy. They still love each other. They are handling it with care, and I can guarantee you, by the time the children grow up, they will come and meet and say, how did you do it?
It's
So
setting a positive example for
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, what I saw growing up was violence, which then meant I grew up not violent. I would never, ever, ever be violent. And that's one of the rules of engagement. No violence, ever. No physical violence, no verbal violence, no emotional violence, just no form of violence. But my way of dealing with what I was exposed to was this kind of take no nonsense. So it was this kind of no grace for any mistakes, which is kind of hard on a man, right?
Yes, it is.
When you have a girl who is constantly on guard and just be like, I will take no nonsense from any man. That was kind of my form of dealing with what I was exposed to, is this constantly being guarded, watching out for the little mistakes and the little things, and that's hard. So we've said no fighting in front of the kids, no physical violence, no name calling. Is there any other ones that we're missing out? No bringing up the past.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the,
Oh, yes,
that's the other
that's-
one.
yeah.
Just stick to the topic, and that's another difficult one because sometimes you feel like you're spotting a pattern.
Yeah.
You're spotting a pattern of behavior, but really dealing with that pattern that you think you're spotting right there in the middle of that current conflict doesn't always yield anything good.
No.
So it's deal with the current issue, and then perhaps later on another day maybe. So it's important to leave the past in the past.
yes.
There's just no point pointing back to all those things you think was done, that you think it's a pattern. Because even if you feel like there's a pattern, I think it's important to not deal with it whilst that current issue is ongoing, whilst tempers are still flared. Just resolve the current issue and then deal with the pattern later. Again, we have experienced this, and we've had to deal with things when we feel like, okay, there's a pattern of behavior here, but please deal with the pattern of behavior later on. Is there any other one that
No D word.
everybody know what D word is? Death. No death threats. I mean, we've said already, no violence, so no killing your spouse.
Divorce.
Divorce. No threatening
No,
divorce.
not threatening.
No. I could tell you stories. First year of marriage, you should see me.
Us.
You never ever threatened divorce.
I
You
can't remember.
I never,
It's been
ever,
a long time.
ever. 10 years this year we'll be married. No, first year of marriage, I was a joke. Every little fight was like, well, do you want to leave? You can leave if you want. It was just like, it was so childish, it was so silly. But hey, that was 9 years ago, so I'm a changed woman. But no threatening divorce.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make the other person feel valued. It doesn't make them feel wanted. It doesn't make them feel loved. When every conflict ends up in, yeah, if you want to leave, leave, or if you want to divorce. It's just, it doesn't speak well of you.
No.
It doesn't speak well of your commitment to one another. Is there anything else we've missed?
No, nothing else.
No threatening divorce. Yeah, I think that's
it. Yeah.
that's all that I can think of that we at least try to live by. So I think that's it really. Conflict can be a good thing if you handle it well. So rules of engagement, not in front of the kids. Do not fight in front of the kids. No violence. No using the D word, as my husband put it. No using the divorce as a threat. Don't bring up the past. What else have I missed?
That's it. That's all I can think of.
That's all you can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just hope that you've kind of learned a little from what we're sharing. Again, this is a journey that takes grace every day. So we have to live with each other this kind of grace-filled life and not always expect the other person to be perfect. Because we're not perfect, only God is perfect. And because we are not perfect, we will get into conflict. In which case, when we then get into conflict, it's important to know how to deal with that conflict. And we're learning. We're a work in progress, and I'm sure you're a work in progress too. So our prayer is that together we can all keep doing the work that it takes I can see my husband's holding back a laughter again. He's a happy dude tonight. Together, I pray that we can all do the work that it takes to just hold our marriage together. We can all do what it takes to hold our marriage together. If you like our content, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. It's been Real Talk with Danny and Ify. Remain blessed.